Welcome to Soccer in 60, presented by the Empire Strykers. Get ready for your weekly look at all the pro soccer teams in Greater Los Angeles. We've got all the news and analysis you need, from LAFC and the LA Galaxy to the Empire Strykers, Angel City FC, and Orange County Soccer Club. Now, buckle up and enjoy Soccer in 60.
Hey, welcome to Soccer in 60. I'm your host, Tim Kolotz. And however you're listening or watching to us today, thanks for making us part of your day. It was an up and down weekend for the local teams this past week as LAFC played in their Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup round of 16 match at BMO Stadium on Tuesday night. We also have a special interview with the start of that game as Abraham Romero who caught up with Philly a little earlier today. LA Galaxy played their second road game in 4 nights as they took on Charlotte, and Angel City scrapped with the Washington Spirit in a barn burner of a first half. Orange County was also on the road up in Hayward, taking on the Oakland Roots in a USL championship match Saturday night. We've got a few other things to talk about as the show rolls on, but for now, let me introduce you to my co-host, Christian Billy Philemon.
What's
Philly,
going on,
thirsty
Tim?
for some footy and ready to get after it with some great soccer talk, baby.
Absolutely. It's 4:04 Pacific Standard Time here in the West Coast. We're about to give you all the local soccer news. It's happy hour as far as I'm concerned. Cheers. And we got a long weekend ahead of us with it being Memorial Day. Perfect way to kick off the weekend. Another episode of Soccer in 60. To quote the 80s band Twisted Sister, I want to rock. Let's go.
I want to rock. Dun, 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 dun. Well, you know what? I'm looking forward to it. We've got a great show today, guys. Everybody that's listening to us all across the Southland, across the world. Let's get right into the LAFC. We've got a great interview that you caught up with Abraham about on Philly. Let's get right into that, buddy.
Yeah, let's rock. All right, welcome back, everybody. On Soccer in 60, we've had a great opportunity to talk to quite a few goalkeepers on the show. We've had OCSC's Colin Shuttler. We've had the LA Galaxy's John McCarthy. And I'm wondering if it's in conjunction with the fact that our producer Gunnar was a goalkeeper many blue moons ago. Or perhaps maybe because our guest today is fresh off of a solid performance where he had 6 saves on Tuesday night against Loudoun United, earning the clean sheet for LAFC as they advance to the round of 8 in the U.S. Open Cup. I'm probably thinking that's the reason. Quick little intro today. Our guest is from Pasadena. Worked his way through the youth academies of both the LA Galaxy and Liga MX side Pachuca, who, by the way, will be playing the Columbus Crew in the CONCACAF Champions Cup final on June the 1st. Spent 2 years with Pachuca en route to Galaxy 2, OCSC, the Las Vegas Lights, LAFCto, which I can really say I got to see him compete on the campus of Cal State Fullerton, and now LAFC. And oh, by the way, let's not forget the time he spent on the international level with the U.S.'s U15, U17, and Mexico's U20 and U21. Folks, we are proud to announce that we've got LAFC goalkeeper Abraham Romero on today's show. Welcome, Abraham.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was that introduction is getting long the more I play.
Keep getting those accolades. They'll just get longer and longer. More clean sheets to follow as well.
I hope so.
Tuesday night, let's bring that up really quickly. At BMO Stadium, you got yourself that clean sheet in the Open Cup. 6 saves, your second straight start for LAFC in the U.S. Open Cup. You've been killing it as of late, capitalizing heavily on the playing time that you've gotten. Clearly a testament to all the hard work that you've put in. You were involved in media day prior to the Lights game, which signaled to all of us that you'd get the start against the Lights. How much time or notice did the coaching staff give you prior to the start, and how did that feel when you found out that you were going to be in between the pipes against the Lights over at Cashman Field?
First, it was amazing. The feeling I got to be able to go back to Cashman because I spent some time there, and I'm very fond of the fans in the stadium and Las Vegas Lights as an organization. I knew a good time ahead, a couple days, I think, and honestly, nothing really changed. Just kept doing what I've been doing, is preparing as best as possible, and like you said, trying to do the best I can with the opportunities that I'm given.
And you certainly capitalized on them. Las Vegas Lights is a great place. I miss Dalai Lama, by the way, and the other Lama. I know they passed away. What a great show they put on. But this isn't a Las Vegas Lights podcast. Like, how does it feel? I mean, you're not only getting to live your dream, but you're succeeding. And talk to us about the past few weeks playing for LAFC in the U.S. Open Cup.
It's surreal. Playing for LAFC, being a local guy here from Pasadena. Grew up Pasadena, Altadena, El Monte, La Puente, Rosemead, all around. And like you said, I'm kind of living a dream. Sometimes I don't feel like I belong sometimes, due to the fact that I just feel like I'm another guy that played pickup here, that started off at Villa Park in Pasadena. So I'm honestly just enjoying every day, every session, every moment I get to spend with this club and at this level. I'm going to enjoy it to the best of my ability.
You're definitely more than just a Sunday player. You are a professional, my friend, playing at the highest level in this country. And speaking of which, you've had the chance now to learn from a World Cup winner and a legendary keeper, and that of Hugo Lloris. But also Oka Nikolov, who was a darn good player at Eintracht Frankfurt in the Bundesliga. For those who don't know, Oka Nikolov is LAFC's goalkeeper coach. Talk to us about the valuable lessons that you've learned working with both those individuals, and what's the most important thing that you've learned from both Hugo and Oka?
There's so many things I could talk about when it comes to goalkeeping that I've learned from both of them. Again, two amazing, historic careers that they both had. And I think the things that I've learned and I've grown the most with are the things I've learned outside of the field. How to carry yourself, how to prepare, and really what it takes and how professional you have to be successful at this level. It's a full job. It's I know everyone sees the games and the weekends and the Saturday nights and they think it all starts there, and it really doesn't. They only see this much. They see so little of how much they have to work and how dedicated these people are, and the team behind us, from our physios to our therapist to our massage therapist to the grass man to everything. And behind the scenes, there's so much that goes into us being able to perform each and every weekend. And we really couldn't do it without everyone that backs us.
I mean, you have a great staff. I've known Paul for a number of years, a lot of the people at LAFC, tremendous club. And that's the beauty of it. You do get to work with all these great individuals. I overheard on the Inside LAFC podcast that you did with my good friend Max Bredos, how you were in awe of Hugo Lloris and how he was such a nice guy. I would imagine after the performances you've had, he's got to be the one carrying your suitcase to the next job, right?
No, never. Not a chance. Not a chance. There's a certain line of respect that I have for Hugo that just will never, ever go away. The man is a living legend, the greatest goalkeeper that France has ever had. And it's just, honestly, it's been an honor to share the locker room with him and to learn underneath him, because I don't think there's many goalkeepers that I could say have his resume.
Back-to-back World Cup finals is pretty darn good, and you're right, no question. One of France's most elite goalkeeper of all time. We talked about this initially. You played with the Las Vegas Lights while they still had their affiliation with LAFC. 2022 was quite a year. New head coach Steve Cherundolo for LAFC having come over from the Lights. That was the season that they won the MLS Cup. But you trained with LAFC. Then you would go back to Cashman to play in Vegas. How valuable was that experience, learning and being part of LAFC system then, and then going and working with players like Maxime Crepeau and John McCarthy?
I think it was fantastic. It was a great experience, especially that locker room that they had that year. I remember seeing a picture. I think there's a picture here in the training facilities of our bench for one of those playoff games. And it's just that's a deep roster, an extremely deep. I think we had Gareth Bale on the bench. I think Giorgio Carlos came off the bench. It was just amazing to be with so so many talented and hardworking players. And it's an experience that I'm going to cherish for a very long time, just being able to hop into training sometimes with them and help them with whatever they needed. And individually, it helped me a lot grow and I think progress my own football and try to take it back to Cashman and do as best as I could that season with the team and give back as much as I could.
I've seen you from last season. I mean, even I witnessed you as a member of the Las Vegas Lights. I mean, you've improved head over heels. I mean, it's just amazing watching you develop. And I was so happy for you getting the clean sheet yesterday. I'm telling you, this is from a fan perspective and obviously from that of a professional journalist. Now, we're running out of time here. I obviously have a ton more questions that I'd like to ask you, but you've got better things to do than to hang out with me all afternoon. You know, what's been your most cherished memory thus far early in your career? Now, it doesn't have to be LAFC, just your fondest memory playing thus far.
Professional or just soccer?
Whatever hits you first.
Okay. I would say my first very, very memorable moment was probably my U-17 World Cup with Mexico. That was a huge experience. I remember so much of the first game, but I also remember so little. It feels like a long time ago because now I'm 26 and it's almost 10 years now since I played in that World Cup. We started playing against Argentina, and I remember the warm-up, and then I kind of just blank. I can't remember the game really well. I watched the highlights, and I don't recall anything. But it was one of those – the reason it's so fond to me is because it was one of those moments where I'm just kind of flowing in the match, and I'm not really thinking. And I try to replicate that because the few times that I've been able to get into that kind of flow state, it's been – the best feeling as a footballer because you don't think, you just do, and you just perform, and there's no confidence, there's no lights, there's no one around, and you're just enjoying your football. And I've had a few games, but that one's probably one of the most memorable.
No, that's beautiful. I appreciate you sharing that. I'm always curious to hear what one's most favorite experiences. And now you're starting to pile them on. Again, Abraham Romero, goalkeeper for LAFC. Thank you again for spending some time with us. Good luck for the rest of the season. I'll be at BMO as I am all the time watching you, and good luck in the next round against New Mexico United. But more importantly, safe travels to Atlanta and go get them.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course. Thank you, Abraham.
Yeah, thanks, Abraham. What a great young man, right? 26. He's remembering his best thing is the U-17 World Cup. I mean, he's got a lot of accomplishments under his belt already.
And he's getting a lot of playing time in this U.S. Open Cup. He went back to Cashman against his former club in the Las Vegas Lights, albeit a different affiliation. Won that one. Won a great game recently on Tuesday. Got the clean sheet. And let's just talk about that really quickly. LAFC advances to the round of 16 as a result of having beaten the Las Vegas Lights. The game was at BMO Stadium in front of around 10,000 or so fans. They opened it up, but not completely. It was $20 general admission to get in, and it was a Tuesday. So a fair amount of people showed up for it. Head coach Steve Cherundolo was not on the bench, did not have the clipboard, gave it to his assistant Ante Razov because he got a red card in the last time against Las Vegas Lights. And Ante's no slouch, folks. One of the top 10 all-time leading scorers in Major League Soccer, won U.S. Open Cup as a player with the Chicago Fire under Bob Bradley, and was part of LAFC's staff during their deepest run in 2018, where they lost in the semifinals against the Houston Dynamo, who were the eventual champions. Didn't take long for them in this game to score, as Timothy Tillman gets a nice dime in from Denny Bouanga in the 8th minute. That would be the only goal scoring that we would see in the first half. There was a couple opportunities where Loudoun United, going in the 8th place team within the Eastern Conference out of Virginia in the USL, did give LAFC a run for their money, and they're lucky, LAFC, because the game could have been tied, which would obviously change things all throughout. LAFC with only 2 shots on target within the first 45 minutes, uncharacteristic from a club like them. But it didn't take long for them to get involved. 52nd minute on the counterattack. One of the most effective counters that you'll see. This is where LAFC is devastating and deadly. It's Denis Bouanga to Kike Oliveira. Tell me where you've heard that before. It's been happening time and time again. Over on that right flank, he nets in his 3rd straight goal in 2 U.S. Open Cup games. The floodlights are opened. But wait, there's more. going into the 61st minute, this was a pretty cool play. Denny, the dime dishing dynamo that he's turned into, has a sensational pass to Tomas Angel, who gets his first ever goal as a member of LAFC, scoring. He did score for LAFC2 and MLS Next, but this was a big goal for him, playing in that center forward position, getting some meaningful minutes, a position that's going to be very competitive as Olivier Giroud is going to grace the roster sometime after July 20th. It was really cool to see him get that goal. His dad is Juan Pablo Angel, a legend in so many ways, shapes, and forms, and he was tied to LAFC as one of their biggest scouts. A lot of LAFC's roster in its inaugural season came as a result of his dad, Juan Pablo Angel. Tomas came over from playing in the Colombian first side. A very well-spoken young man, might I say, and a knack for finding the back of the net. That's how it's going to end. LAFC wins at home, and they will host New Mexico United at BMO Stadium on either July the 9th or the 10th in the next round. New Mexico United is one of the top two teams in the West in the USL, alongside Sacramento Republic, which also advanced to the next round. So that'll be the Open Cup game to keep an eye on. But if you want to catch LAFC prior to that, well, they'll be in Atlanta, taking on Atlanta United at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on the 25th at 4:30. And that's your LAFC wrap-up for now. Tim, let's talk about how the Galaxy did on the road in the Queen City against Charlotte.
Absolutely. The LA Galaxy have been road warriors this year. They haven't been at home very much. They've got a nice big homestand coming up, but coming into this game, 8 of their first 13 games were on the road. And coming into Charlotte, their only prior matchup against Charlotte at Bank of America Stadium, they won 1-0. They sent 74,000 fans home unhappy when they met up with them in March of 2022, which at that time, 74,479 was a MLS record. So, going back into Charlotte to take on Charlotte FC, they, coming into the match, Charlotte was coming in, they were playing strong. Galaxy are coming in on the back end of 3 straight draws. But Ricky Puig and Dejan Joveljic are leading the team with 7 goals and 6 assists between the two of them. So they're clearly leading the charge on trying to put the ball in the back of the net. Of note, Novak Michovic. I'm screwing this up. Philly, help me out a little bit. I have written down, I've got Michovic,
yeah.
Michovic.
Making only his third start in his career, by the way.
Right? That's probably why I can't pronounce his name. He's got to get some more starts, kick John McCarthy out a little bit more and get a few more starts. But, they're in the 18th minute, Fagundes gets a bouncing ball and gets it right on frame. And Charlotte keeper Christian Kalina has got to be sharp right out of the gate and directs it up and over the bar, parries it over, and it stays 0-0. 39th minute, best chance for Charlotte in the first half. But Patrick Agimon directs his header just a bit wide left. Can't get it on frame. Little later on, Peck gets a shot on frame in first half stoppage time, but it's easily saved by keeper Kalina. Galaxy have got a great opportunity, came in the 62nd minute, right after they come out of the break, and Joveljic takes a great through ball by Puig, and he's at the penalty spot, and he hits it really hard. He's just a little bit underneath it, and over the bar it goes, stays 0-0. Second half stoppage time, Gaston, not that Gaston, but Gaston Brugman hit a free kick that Kalina makes a great save on. And the ensuing corner, we've got good things coming for the LA Galaxy. But the ensuing corner challenges Kalina again, and he's there for the save. It was a far better game for a 1-0 draw than the snooze fest we had a couple of weeks ago against Seattle. But at the end of the day, this is 4 straight draws for the Galaxy. You got a couple of sister kissers at 0-0, and you got a couple of 2-2 games, and much better defensively. They had 3-4 guys behind the ball. They were in a line the whole time. They were really, really pressing. Several block shots, and way closer defending this match than they've had the past couple of games, Philly.
First and foremost, yeah, you're absolutely right. A much more entertaining game despite the 0-0 scoring line. First and foremost, I got to tell you how much I love Charlotte's kits. They remind me of Pop-Tarts. And anytime I think of Pop-Tarts, it puts a big smile on my face. You can see the frosting on the purple, the blue frosting. It's just a thing of beauty. Gabriel Peck was very aggressive in this game. Had a multitude of opportunities, but his marksmanship evaded him. Same as you mentioned with Dejan Joveljic on that play where he kicked it well above the crossbar. The first 45 minutes, the Galaxy took a total of 7 shots. 3 of them were on target. They had a couple of blocks. They were well inside the box. They absolutely dissected Charlotte from a passing perspective. I mean, they finished the first 45 minutes with 387 accurate passes at 95%. That's something that you see in the Bundesliga when Bayern Munich destroys folks. Bayern Munich of the past, not this past season. But there were some really good opportunities for the Galaxy to capitalize. But you have to credit the play of the defense for Charlotte as well. Christian Kalina, one of the top keepers in this league, he was tested quite a bit, Tim. Tested quite a bit. And the drama at the very end of the game, and as the Galaxy has done time and time again, they've made things interesting in the last few moments. They really had the shot at closing it out at the death.
Yeah, and those last 2 shots on frame were just, you'd said it. Kalina really had to be sharp, and when you're up against one of the better goalkeepers in the league, it's hard to get it past him. And the last 2 saves, like the save on that free kick, was just magic because he comes up and Brugman just hammers this thing, and he's got to make this really strong dive to the left. He's got to keep that thing out, and then the ensuing corner kick. And it's been the bane of LA Galaxy, right? Over the past few games, they're giving up set piece goals. And that last one really almost sealed the deal for the Galaxy to come out of Charlotte with the 3 points.
And I think that's the thing that's probably the most important to realize is the fact that they are unbeaten. Definitely in their last 3 matches. It is very hard to win on the road in this league. It's very hard to win on the road in any sport for that matter. But the Galaxy, like you said, have been road warriors. They conclude and they now have a 3-2-4 record. They're 2-0-3 at Dignity Health Sports Park. They haven't even had the opportunity to play in front of like their supporters. And the fans are really starting to pour into the digs. I mean, they have a capacity of over 27,000. You know that place can get loud when the fans fill the stands. And they've got a really good team to cheer for and support. This is one of the best Galaxy teams that we've seen in quite some time. Hopefully for their supporters and their front office, they can sustain this because Major League Soccer is much better when the LA Galaxy are on top of their game. And it also makes the rivalry between them and LAFC that much more interesting.
Yeah, and when you have 2 really good teams, at the top half of the standings in the West and in the top 6 in the West right now, it makes for much more compelling soccer when you go to BMO, when you go to Dignity Sport. It's a lot more fun because, and then coming up, you've got 4 of their next 5 at home. So you're going to have 100,000 people showing up at the dig within the next 6 weeks. It's going to be a lot of fun to go out to the park, see those guys play, and get in front of their supporters, like you said, because they haven't had the time they haven't had the games to really get in front of their fans this year. And they're a little bit more solid home schedule for the next 6, 8, 10 weeks.
They're doing a great job staying in games. I mean, they've drawn 7 times. That's certainly among the tops as far as the playoff contenders within the Western Conference. But if they continue to get this done, they're going to be able to make a deep run into the season and into the postseason. If you win at home and you can manage to secure a point on the road, that speaks volumes for the team's character. And they really could have walked out of Charlotte with a win, without a doubt. Almost, if it wasn't for Christian Kalina, a slightly lesser able keeper would not have made those saves. Certainly not on that Mayo Yoshida header or some of the other plays. But Galaxy look tough. But what really impressed the heck out of me is just their passing against Charlotte. 704 out of the 754 passes were accurate. If you're a math guy and you could quickly do this in your head, chances are you should be at a top firm making a lot of money. But that's 93.4% in their passing. 93.4% passing accuracy over the course of 90 minutes. Is this a tribute to how bad the midfield was for Charlotte, or is it a testament to how good the Galaxy is and how well their chemistry is among all their players? I mean, everything indicates that it's the chemistry. We've seen it between Paintsill and Peck and Pooch. They're an exciting team to watch, no question about it.
Yeah, and you mentioned that as a overall, 93%. You've got Pooch, getting in at 91.2% on all of his passes. You put that together, and no midfielder has got that type of accuracy without that type of chemistry. I agree with you 100%. Peck and Paintsill and Pooch and Joveljic, these guys are just passing. They know where to go with the ball. They know when the guys are going to go. And like you said, the chemistry through these first 14 games is just really, really strong. And if they can keep this up, I mean, the only difference between them and Houston, which is in their next match, is that the Galaxy have got 4 more ties, and that's why they have 22 points versus Houston at 18 points. You go from 4th to 8th, right? And you're just because you're tying on the road much more than you are giving up those 3 points to when you're away. And speaking of that, they're coming in. Houston Dynamo are coming in this weekend on the 25th at 7:30 local time. The game is going to be on Apple TV Plus. So if you can't make it out to Dignity Sports Health Park, catch it on TV. It's going to be a fun game. Get there early. They do have ticket packs that you can get a deal on ticket packs, and they've got all kinds of very fun activities this weekend. They've got a soccer fest, so probably get out there early, and enjoy the afternoon at the Dig. So, and with that, hey, let's wrap this up. I know that we're not going to have Amanda today, so we can let's hop into the Strikers before we hop into Angel City there, Philly. We can talk a little Striker, a little TST soccer. Let the fans know what TST is.
Yeah, real quick, as far as Empire Strykers news are concerned, the final few episodes of Love Undercover featuring Marco Fabian air today. I do not like reality TV, let alone reality TV dating shows. You could go back to Bret Michaels, like Rock of Love, where I'm like, this is just terrible. And I just didn't think I would be as entertained. But Marco has done an amazing job, and that show has been highly entertaining. And he, along with Sebastian Fassi, and I'm not sure if the other guys are playing, but they're going to be featured in this TST tournament, along with a lot of the Empire Strykers. What's the TST, you may ask? Well, it's a tournament created by the same exact group that created that 3-on-3 basketball tournament that you'll see on ESPN over the summer times. It's a 7v7 tournament. They play on smaller fields and smaller goals. Basically, the winner of said tournament would walk away $1 million richer. So that obviously caused a very big interest. There's so many local tournaments where, you get cash prizes of 10, 15, 20 grand, up to 100 grand, but $1 million, it's going to bring out some serious players. And serious players it did. 32 teams competed against one another, and the winner was Newtown Pride, a team made up of entirely MASL players, which is the league, the indoor professional soccer league, the highest level of indoor soccer that the Empire Strykers are a part of. And the teams to keep an eye on for this season, you got to check out Tranquilo FC. They are coached by Empire Strykers general manager and former coach Jimmy Norberg. And on the team, you have Alan Perez. You've got Brian Orozco. You've got Mustafa Guy. You've got Marco Fabian, who's going to be on there. And then you got Noe Fadilla, who was a rookie on the Empire Strykers last season. You have former members of the team, and that of Chris Toth and Nick Pereira, playing alongside MLS legend Chris Wondolowski on Sneaky Fox in the group stages. And of course, the Stinger himself, Justin Stinson, will be playing on the defending champion Newtown Pride team, along with former Empire Striker player, current member of the Kansas City Comets, and reigning MASL Defender of the Year, Robert Palmer. If you miss Frank Tayu, the King will be on Nani FC. So the tournament itself has expanded, 48 teams. It starts on June 6th. The finals are on June 10th, and it will be on ESPN+.
Yeah, and you talk about some legendary players. Sergio Aguero has got his own team. You've got some super high-end players coming out to compete for $1 million over just a 5-day period, a little 7-on-7. Like you said, it's going to be on ESPN Plus. If you don't have that by now, I do. Make sure that you get it. It's cheap, gets combined with a couple other services for like 10 or 15 bucks. Totally worth getting it because you get a ton of soccer, you get a bunch of UFC, you get all kinds of stuff, and it's going to be a rip, man. I'm going to be glued to my TV for about 5 or 6 days.
Yeah, I should have been in Cary, North Carolina. Unfortunately, it didn't work out in my favor, but maybe one of these days I'll get to be a broadcaster for the TST. I was hoping it would have been this year, but maybe next year. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
That's right. We just
with all the cool stuff I've gotten to do this year anyway.
Just got to update that resume and send it over to Marco and have him take it to the tournament directors.
Yeah, seriously. ESPN's involved in it. I've been on 50 ESPN broadcasts as a play-by-play and an analyst this season. ESPN, I know a lot of these guys personally. Bring me on. Let Philly call TST. Philly knows about TST. Philly knows the players. More importantly, I think I'm a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I would have hired you, Philly.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So let's hop over to Angel City. Again, with most everybody else on the road this weekend, Angel City was on the road as well. They took on the Washington Spirit. Angel City came in at 3-4-1, ninth place in the league. Washington came in at 6-3, good enough for fourth place across the entire league. Washington's Croy Bethune is their star rookie, having been selected in the third overall in the most recent NWSL draft held earlier this January. And sure enough, the game gets off to a raucous start. And we're going to go back and forth a little bit on this, Philly, because the second half, not much going on. First half, absolute barn burner. And sure enough, 9 minutes in, a nice ball, the French international Ole Madassar inside the box leads to a great cross to Trinity Rodman, and you might recognize that last name. And Rodman one times to slot a blast past Angel City keeper Dejana Harashich, and it's 1-0. We're under 10 minutes in, and the game is on. The game is on, man. About 10 minutes later, Angel City is strong in the offensive third. They've got the ball bouncing around a little bit, and Clarice Lebion starts a scramble for the ball with a cross, and it finds its way back to her. It went all the way out, about 25 yards out. Couple shots, couple of deflection, and Clarice has it back on her feet. She again drives the end line and just rips across the front of the goal mouth. Bang! Deflects off of a Washington Spirit player, back of the net. So here we are, Philly, 20 minutes in, and it's already 1-1.
I mean, yeah, 20 minutes had a lot of drama between these two sides. I mean, it's important to note that, the teams had a history. There's Angel City, a 2-2-0 record against the Spirit all time. But you already alluded to some of the facts that the new French international SAR, they really picked up a lot of players over the draft that really improved upon their performance. So there's a different Washington Spirit team. And you mentioned Trinity Rodman, a stellar player, one of the top players within the NWSL. And we don't need to say who she's attached to. She's literally making a name for herself without her father's accolades. So we don't need to keep the worm in regards to the conversation. And oh, by the way, friend of the show, JP Della Camera, was on the call, by the way. But the thing that happened that I believe really derailed Angel City throughout the course of the game, certainly defensively, is when their Iron Woman, Sarah Gordon, came down and she and fell injured. She was helped off of the pitch. And from what I heard from the Angel City podcast, Angel City Chicks, hosted by my wife, Amanda Phillum and Annie Kiefer, by the way, shameless plug. It was just an ankle injury. But just an ankle injury doesn't give it any kind of justice because those can be pesky. Once you start to loosen up those ligaments within that ankle, they could be stubborn. They could reoccur. So losing Sarah Gordon was a problem in the game, and it's going to be a problem going forward. She is one of the best defenders in the NWSL and a crucial part of this team if they are going to look to have any kind of success. But you mentioned Lebion basically having a deja vu play where she was able to slot it home. But 3 minutes after that, off of a free kick from Claire Emsley, Scottish international. And by the way, this is where she stands out well above anybody else. Her set piece distribution is so on point. It is insane. She connects with Sydney Leroux, who smashes in a header. And now Angel City, after going down quickly 1-0, are up 2-1. For Sydney Leroux, this would mark the 44th goal in her career, which now puts her in the top 10 all-time within the NWSL.
Yeah, and that was, you said it, Emsley has been magical on these set pieces and long crosses in. This was a great left footer, just put right to the near side, and Sydney just comes in on a really nice rush and just buries it. So again, like you said, we're 24 minutes in and it's 2-1 Angel City. 30th minute though, the fortunes change a little bit, right? Casey Kruger drives a long ball, and this is where Sarah Gordon would have been, right? She would have been able to take this cross out of the air, but it's a ball that eludes the defense and lands right on the feet of Rodman, and she controls it and goes tweeners on the defense and for her second goal of the night. So she's got a brace within 30 minutes, and really Angel City looks a little bit lost back on that defense. Just 4 minutes later, the defense can't clear the ball out, and about it on the third shot from the Spirit, Casey Kruger just takes one and buries it, and next thing you know, it's 3-2, and the Spirit are starting to run away with this. They're just playing a lot better. Angel City is a little defenseless, and they're not quite sure what to do. And just 2 minutes later, and this is a thing of beauty for Washington, as the ball comes out of their back line, it hits Bethune right at midfield, and she is just off to the races. She's fast. She's got 3 Angel City defenders coming at her. And as she races down, there's a fourth that comes along and just collapse right on her. And you can't collapse right on one player. You can't have all 4, because who's off to the right? French international Sarr, wide open. Bethune makes a little cheeky pass, eludes all 4 of them, just silky smooth. And Sarr makes no mistake. One time's at far side past Herachich, and it's 4-2.
That 6-minute stretch between the 30th and the 36th was absolutely apocalyptic for Angel City. It was just an unfortunate set of circumstances. I think you're Lemony Snicket's in a series of unfortunate circumstances. But it all boils down to obviously Sarah Gordon not being there to key things up defensively. The brace by Trinity Rodman was a thing of beauty, no doubt about that. That goal scored by Casey Kruger, look, Didi was there. She made a save. Lily Nabet cleared it off the line. They just got peppered. Would that have occurred if Sarah Gordon was there to clear it? I don't know. We can play the could be, should be, would have been game all we want, but we could easily agree to the fact that more than likely it could have been the case. And then, Bethune had all the defenders collapsing on her, which was the mistake. Sarr was just wide open. She could have driven a truck at 2 miles per hour and still been successful. And so what was a 1-0 early start now turns into a 4-2 game. 6 goals in 36 minutes. I believe they set an NWSL record for most goals over a course of 45 minutes. Angel City did have a few chances within the 9 minutes of stoppage, but 2 shots above the crossbar. They were plagued with that Star Wars Stormtrooper marksmanship, and it wasn't a great way for them to go. But one other thing that we didn't highlight, which is also pretty cool, we got to find the silver linings here. Sydney Leroux obviously getting her 44th, propelling her into the top 10. But how cool is it that for the first time ever in league history, you have 2 sisters starting for the same club, and that is Giselle Thompson and Alyssa Thompson. Just the other day, not quite literally, they were both playing over at Harvard Westlake. Now they're teammates playing in the NWSL for Angel City and getting the start. I mean, tremendous occurrences and a lot of cool things to talk about within the first 45 minutes. The second 45 would be not as exciting as the first 45, but some really cool things, some really cool headlines, but also some unfortunate circumstances with allowing 4 goals and with Sarah Gordon going down.
Yeah, and having the Thompson sisters be the first ones to start on a team, and what are they, 18, 19 years old apiece, to be that young, starting, playing professionally. The Angel City roster is going to be solid for several years. You've got multiple teenagers, you've got you've got a lot of players that are young, 22-year-old, 23-year-old players. And I think just the mix of the veterans and the younger players are working. It's just when you do have somebody like a Sarah Gordon go down, it's irreplaceable, right? You can't just put somebody else out on that back line. But like you said, long term, this is going to be a great fun team to watch, and hopefully Sarah gets back a little bit quicker than sooner than later.
The unfortunate thing for Angel City really began within their first season, if you break it down. The marquee signing that they brought in, Kristen Press, a huge name in the world of women's soccer, in the world of soccer, period. I don't want to genderize it because there's a beautiful game now. We're completely open to it. But with her going down hurt early on in the first season, her not being able to feature, that obviously hurts the club. Maybe not from a salary cap restriction, because obviously season-ending injury prior doesn't affect things that way. But there was a lot of expectations to sprinkle in somebody of her caliber with a lot of these younger players. It did not happen, and obviously she still hasn't featured for the team. But then you have June Endo, a fan favorite and a very big important piece for Becky Hammond's side. And then now you're out without a couple. You're out without 2 of your best players, and then your best defender goes down in that of Sarah Gordon. So we haven't even seen what Angel City is capable of since this club was inaugurated, because they've been bitten by the injury bug. We know from a business perspective, a front office side, they took the world and this league and this country, in particular this city, by storm. If you head to BMO Stadium, it's a packed house. The only crowd in NWSL that I said prior to Angel City that was as exciting was the Portland Thorns support. But that has found its way into Angel City, and, that's the story there. We don't have Panda, you alluded to it earlier, my wife, who is co-host of the Angel City Chicks podcast show, because she's actually getting off of work in 15 minutes and heading over to BMO Stadium because Angel City is going to be taking on their arch rivals down south in San Diego, the Wave. That is going to be an extremely tough game, and that's going to be on here in just a couple of hours at the conclusion of our show.
Yep. They do take them on. The Wave come in at 3-4-2, and Angel City is 3-5-1. It's going to be a fun game, so you got to check that one out.
7 p.m. on CBS Sports Network or Bally Sports or iHeartRadio. I know we got to move on to the next segment, but really quickly, I just want to give a couple of shout-outs on the international call-up for Angel City. Ali Riley's going to get the call-up for New Zealand to compete in 2 friendlies against Japan. Casey Fair is going to get the call-up for Korea. She's going to get a couple of friendlies against the U.S. women's national team. And congratulations, Giselle Thompson, U.S. U-20. She's going to get the feature in a game against Korea. Good stuff. We got a lot of international flair on this Angel City roster.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to a lot of those international games. Let's hop over to Orange County. Orange County Soccer Club was also on the road. They were up
Tim,
in
before we get
Hayward.
started on Orange
Yeah,
County,
baby.
why don't you show everybody who is watching this unbelievable scarf you got wrapped around your neck?
So this weekend is fantastic. It's their beer fest, and I'll be wearing this. So on one side you got beer drinking scarf, and on the other side you've got the beer fest. Yeah, Orange County, they put on one of the best beer fests that I've ever been to. That we've been to several of these things, and Orange County puts it on. They have 50 different beers that you can sample at your leisure, and make sure you get either a designated driver or you get a ride share company to take you, because that's what we're doing. My wife and I will be down there. We're going to be hanging out. So if you see me, come and wave, say hello, ask for autographs, and I'll make sure to sign it Philly.
You're funny. You've already sold me on the idea. Let's make sure we go back to that to promote their next game. But they were up north in a city that is starting to lose a lot of their professional teams, in that of Oakland, taking on the Roots. Why don't we get crack-a-lacking into that game?
Yeah, you've got one of the best goalkeepers in the USL with Paul Blanchette. He's top 3 in the league in saves, but there's a problem with that. He's top 3 in the league in saves because he's also had the second most shots taken at him. So, but anytime that Paul Blanchette is between the pipes, man, the team's got a chance. They also have had Oakland's been down on their luck this year. They came in with former head coach Noah Delgado being released of duty, and Gavin Glinton has taken over. He's interim coach, and it looks like they're going to keep him full time as the coach. And the last time that they played Oakland, they had beaten them 3-0. And Blanchette was tested early because in the 16th minute, Brian Olaski just absolutely destroys a shot, rips it from about 20 yards out, and Blanchette is Johnny on the spot and takes care of it, knocks it away, and it keeps it a 0-0 game.
A laser beam of a shot, by the way, from Olaski. Like, that's one of the ones where you can hear, I don't know, your Marv Alberts or your Dick Vitale's yelling in the background with authority. Like, it came at Blanchette with a lot of rocket fuel and mustard behind it.
Yep. Yeah. And then Cameron Dunbar returned. He had sat out the last game, had a little knock on him, but in the 21st minute, returns to the lineup and gives off a great little pass to Ryan Dugman. And, he does a little bit of dance, a little bit of shaky, a little bit of left, a little bit of right. And he launches a beautiful cross, which finds Thomas Among. And he's just there to hammer it home. And it's past the defenseless Paul Blanchette. He had no chance at stopping this, did he, Philly?
4 goals on the season now for Among. He is the leading scorer on Orange County, doubling up the second leader in that of Brian Olaski. But 6 goals between those two. They're goal-scoring dynamos they are. I mean, that came at Blanchette with what I was mentioning that Olaski shot came with. A lot of rocket fuel and some mustard. No question about that. Excellent to see Orange County scoring first, especially on the road, where, as we've alluded to many occasions, not easy to win on the road in this sport.
No, not at all. And then controversy kind of erupts in the 31st minute as Trayvon Reed goes to accept a pass, and he's tackled away brilliantly by Marcus Nickham. Now, Marcus clearly gets the ball first. He does catch Reed a little bit in the back, but Reed does his best Greg Louganis. And I do have to mention that the referee, while in the right spot, he must not have seen that Nickham got the ball first, because with authority, and as a referee should, even when you're wrong, you're always right. He does blow the whistle and calls for a penalty kick in that 31st minute. Now, on that ensuing penalty kick, Reed does a little shaky, goes left, and then drives a ball to Colin Shuttler's left-hand side. Colin picked right. He did pick the correct side, gets a hand on it, but Reed's got, like you said a minute ago, he's got some mustard on it, and he gets it past Shuttler.
I think it's important to note, Tim,
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
Greg Louganis was on the diving team. Just for all those two out there who didn't get the reference.
Yeah. He was a Olympic gold medalist diver. So
A
look him
pretty
up.
darn
He's
good
a
one,
heck of a
yes.
guy. He's a local guy too, Mission Viejo Nadadors.
Well, I would
My
expect
wife
there to be
actually
some significant Californians on the Olympic swimming and diving team. Can't imagine we have too many of them coming from like Atlanta, Montana, or Bismarck, North Dakota.
Nope. 68 minute that the Orange County guys almost give up a goal as a pass back. Shuttler kind of stumbles it, but he recovers, makes a couple of great saves sitting on his keister. And then on a ball that's ticketed for the back of the net, Bryce Jamison uses his knee to save the ball off the line, kicks it out for a corner kick, which nothing comes of that. And then, as we've seen multiple times, you got to play the full 98 minutes because in the dying seconds, literally it's 90 plus 3 minutes and 45 seconds. A long cross by Jasil Cadeno. Man, I'll get it right one of these days. Cadeno sends a nice long ball and it eludes the defense and lands right at the feet of. You're going to have to help me out.
Just
with
call
this
him Gagi, baby. Just call him
Gagi. I'll just call him Gagi. And lands at the feet right at the top of the box, and he just buries it past Shuttler. It was a great effort. It's some of the better defensive efforts that we've seen out of Orange County over the past 3-4 games. Really strong, just on the wrong side of a 2-1 scoreline this weekend.
And they've slipped in terms of their performance. They're now in third place behind New Mexico United and Sacramento Republic. And as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, both teams advanced to the round of 8 in the U.S. Open Cup. Sacramento with the cup set against San Jose, and New Mexico easily feasting on NYCFC 2. The last 5 games haven't been as great for Orange County. They beat Monterey Bay FC. They drew San Antonio, but tough losses to Oakland, a tough loss to Louisville. No shame there. They're one of the top teams in this league. And then Sacramento Republic. But they'll have an opportunity to avenge themselves as they take on Loudoun United, the team that beat them in the U.S. Open Cup to lead them to the round of 16. And Loudoun just came off a butt kicking by LAFC. I'm sure with the run of form that Orange County has had, and then them inviting Loudoun into Championship Park in front of a sellout crowd, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder, and they are going to put the hurting on Loudoun United, sending them back to Virginia all black and blue.
Absolutely. It's going to be a raucous crowd. Everybody's going to be properly hydrated. So let's go Orange County SC.
You got to get me one of those scarves, speaking of properly hydrated.
Oh, not a problem, man. It's on the way.
Yeah.
Let's get after a little bit about the little miscellaneous section today. You know, we had Leverkusen coming off an undefeated season, and they were in the Europa final, and they were against a team, Atalanta, who, you know, hadn't had the best season. But you know what? You make a final, you got to be doing something right.
Historic season for Bayer Leverkusen. They did something that not even mighty Bayern did, and that's go through the course of an entire Bundesliga season without a loss. And making it into the final against a club like Atalanta, a club that's never really done anything over decades, but a well-coached side. All the money was on Bayer Leverkusen to do the treble, which is win your domestic league's regular season, win a European championship, and then win your tournament, which in this case of Germany would be the Pokal, which Leverkusen will have that opportunity against Kaiserslautern later this week. But man, I was surprised to see that game go the way it did. I thought it would be a competitive game, but we saw a lot of tremendous things. The gentleman who scored the hat trick for Atalanta, Lookman, he had one goal playing an entire year for Everton. Guy has a hat trick in the Europa League final against one of the toughest teams in the country. Unbelievable. Leverkusen got completely outplayed. Their midfield got suffocated. Xhaka couldn't connect with Wirtz. Boniface wasn't a factor in things. I utterly bewildered by the fact that Xabi Alonso got outcoached and outclassed in the way he did.
Yeah, just I was blown away as well. You know, I was, you know, a little bit of the betting lines for things like that, over and under 2.5, and everybody was like, oh yeah, it's going to be 4-1, 5-1, no problem. But 3-0 at Atlanta at the end of the day. Shocker.
Shocker indeed. But I mean, the season for Leverkusen obviously continues. They have an opportunity to win the Pokal, which for those of you who follow the Premier League, think of it as the FA Cup. They're going to take on FC Kaiserslautern on Saturday, May the 25th at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're thinking about this being a competitive game, I don't think you're going to get that, because FC Kaiserslautern, not a very good team whatsoever. A team that even our producer Gunner's beloved Bochum could probably beat. FC Köln, we're talking, and I love you, by the way, Gunner. Thank you for the Bochum jersey. And Bochum, by the way, got their butts kicked by Fortuna Dusseldorf in leg 1 of the relegation battle today. They'll be playing again on Monday. But FC Kaiserslautern, 11-6-17 in the Zweite Bundesliga. This should be, by all means, a routine match for Leverkusen. And then from there, they can go back to partying. They may not be the Leverkusen that most people thought they would be, winning the treble, but winning the Bundesliga and the Pokal for a team called what's the word? Neverkusen. And now, then they're going to be, not too far from Busen if they do hoist up the Pokal.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a great weekend of football. Go check out Orange County. Go check out the Neverkusen game, because that was going to be fun too.
Check out Love Undercover on Peacock, baby. Marco Fabian.
Hey, this has been Soccer in 60. Thanks for checking in with us this week. We'll catch you next week.